I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect and much respect to the brothers pushing his word in the four winds of the earth. Shalom to you few sincere sisters out there as well. This is another edition of The Love of Many Shall Wax Cold. And I have two articles here. The first one, a woman stabbed to death, dog thrown from the 11th story window in Brooklyn. It says a woman was fatally stabbed and a dog was thrown to his death from an 11th story apartment in Brooklyn on Friday night, according to police and sources. It says inside, they found a woman and a man with stab wounds. It says both had multiple stab wounds in their torsos. It says the woman was declared dead by EMS. At the scene, the man was taken to Brookdale Hospital in critical condition. It says the incident appeared to be a dispute between a mother, 58, and her son, 36 years old, who allegedly stabbed her. Sheesh. And of course, we know about the dog getting thrown out the window, man. You know, these people are bugging out here. I got one more. And it says the suspect grapes a 10-year-old girl in NYC after meeting her online. A suspected rapist attacked a 10-year-old girl in East Harlem after connecting with her online earlier this month. Okay, and it says the two met up at 3rd Avenue and East 122nd Street around 9 p.m., where he allegedly raped the young victim. He said he fled on foot and had not been caught by Wednesday. And I believe he met her playing Roblox or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. It says the victim was taken to a local hospital in stable condition, right? So, yeah, this is yet another one, man. It's not too much information on it. That's how they do when a child is involved. Yeah, these people out here are bugging out, man.
A mother in New Jersey shot and killed her husband and two young daughters, ages 9 and 6, in a murder-suicide inside their Union, New Jersey property earlier this week. Sheriffs arrived at the home to serve an eviction notice at around 10:30 a.m. when they discovered all four family members dead on the floor with gunshot wounds. Investigators concluded that the mother was responsible for the deaths as the murder weapon was closest to her body. The family had been living in the property for 15 years, but it was sold for just over $300,000 in November at a sheriff's sale, and they had 60 days to leave. The two daughters, whose names were not released by police, attended an elementary school in Union, which now has grief counselors and other professional staff members to assist with the loss. According to the property deed, the family's modest 2-story Cape Cod-style house was bought at the sheriff's auction by a local nonprofit group that offers therapy for children with autism and other developmental disabilities. The family had owned the house since 2000, according to property records. A mother.
A shootout in an Oakland jewelry store caught on video. A worker opens fire on two men trying to rob the business. Our crime reporter Henry Lee is here now after speaking with the worker who fired at those intruders and scared them away. Henry.
Julie, he tells me he saw these guys running up to the store soon after he arrived to open up. And soon the bullets went flying. Bad guys were in and out of that place in just 5 seconds.
I saw two guys creeping up really quick. So I was like, it's a robbery.
2 armed men intent on robbing a jewelry store in Oakland's Fruitville neighborhood got more than they bargained for when a worker opened fire at them.
They told me, don't move or we'll shoot. So I started shooting at them because they had the gun pointed at me. They were shooting back. It was going back and forth for about like 20 seconds.
It all happened at MSM Jewelry near 41st and International at about 10 Monday morning. The worker, who didn't want his face shown, says he saw this Toyota Camry pull up on the wrong side of the street, right outside his shop.
I draw my weapon.
He says he fired the first shot from his 9mm handgun. He says the men then fired about 20 shots at him. One with a .40 caliber handgun with a drum magazine. The other had a 9mm with an extended magazine. These large capacity magazines are illegal.
I ducked, right? And then I waited to see him like kind of scrambling. The other guy was still shooting. Then I popped my head out and shot 7 more.
In their scramble to escape, one man left one of his shoes behind. The worker believes he shot this guy in the shoulder. The same man was also hit by his own getaway car driven by a third person. Oakland police took a report. Officers did not cite or arrest the worker.
They said you did the right thing. They said you did everything right. They said, we're just going to take your guns till investigation's done, but I have more.
The shop is riddled with bullet holes on the walls, the floor, a mirror, and in the back room where the worker had some measure of protection.
It is what it is. It happened. I just don't want them to come back.
He had this message for the would-be robbers if they do return.
If you come back again, trying to do the same thing, we're just going to defend ourselves. At this point,
Weather got to the 4-3, it's confirmed shots fired coming over.
A surreal scene playing out in the Bronx. Watch as 2 men start shooting on Archer Street and Leland Avenue. One of the bullets hits a man in the back. But little did they know, law enforcement witnessed it all unfold. That's not New York's finest, but New York's bravest. FDNY fire marshals calling over the radio for police backup while ordering the suspects to surrender.
He drew his weapon right away, took cover. He ordered them to the ground. They complied. He searched them, recovered the firearm.
Neighbors witnessed the chaotic scene.
I see the firefighters going this way, like running this way.
Joe Connolly was there Thursday night, too. His union represents the 3 firemen who made the extraordinary arrests.
It's above and beyond. I mean, it is part of the job. But I would say this is a very heroic, brave action they took.
The marshals recovered this loaded Glock with a high-powered magazine on one suspect. Did you realize you were arrested by firefighters? Jaquan Morant and Sebastian Santos were each charged with attempted murder of a 27-year-old.
He might be paralyzed, but that's all up to God. He might be able to walk again, but right now he can't feel it, from what I understand, his legs.
The veteran members of the FDNY quickly got paramedics there, too. For these rare instances, fire marshals are trained in policing. They carry a gun, badge, and handcuffs.
They just fell back on their training and took the initiative that was needed.
Separately, in Brooklyn earlier this month, an FDNY fire investigator was shot at, he ducked for cover, and was unhurt. Proof that no day on this job is ever routine.
Night with the latest on those 2 NYPD officers shot in Brooklyn this afternoon. The suspect is in custody and both officers are expected to be okay.
Initially, they responded to a domestic dispute call. The suspect was also shot, but he is in stable but critical condition tonight, and charges are still pending.
CBS 2's Alicia Reed is live now in Brownsville with the latest for us. Alicia.
Christina Maurice, police officials say this was a routine call for officers. Like you said, they were responding to a domestic dispute, and it was while they were inside that apartment, their quick thinking that saved their lives. NYPD detectives investigate into the night after 2 officers are shot responding to a domestic dispute.
As I'm entering the building, I hear shots, pow, pow.
Police say the victim was being assaulted by her 39-year-old son, Melvin Butler, in her second-floor Bergen Street apartment. During the police interaction, law enforcement officials say Butler refused to comply with officers' demands, and a violent struggle ensued.
Immediately as they're struggling, they're going to the ground, and then you hear an officer state, "He has my gun," and then shots are fired.
One officer was shot in the hand, the other in the leg. At least 1 cop returned fire, hitting the suspect in the stomach and leg. All 3 were taken to Kings County Hospital. The suspect in critical but stable condition.
It's a suspect, it's blood, it's glass, and my kids start crying. So this is not even good for my kids to see.
Police say Butler had a history of domestic violence and resisting arrest. He has 6 priors in New York City and 1 in North Carolina. One of those priors includes an attempted murder charge where he served 15 years in state prison.
This was a horrific incident because of their actions, a dangerous person is apprehended, and we have 2 officers that will be going home to their families.
PBA President Patrick Hendry says Butler was brazen, and they will make sure he doesn't fall through the cracks of the criminal justice system.
We're going to follow this case and make sure that this individual who shot two New York City police officers stays behind bars because we know cases like this before, the individual gets back out on the streets.
Both officers are veterans, one with 9.5, the other with 16 years on the job. They're both expected to make a full recovery.
New tonight, heartbreak and disbelief for a Brooklyn family. A beloved father and grandfather were shot to death while trying to break up a fight on a subway train in Crown Heights. His family members spoke with CBS 2's Naveen Dhaliwal.
For Richard Henderson's family,
They took this from me because he was everything. He was the man.
his loss is unimaginable for his mother-in-law and two older brothers.
There's never be closure. We're still going to be grieving for the rest of our lives with this.
Henderson was a father of 3, a grandfather of 2 with the most lovable soul.
Well, he'll take the shirt off his back and give it to you right now if he saw you walking down the block and you were cold.
But on Sunday, his good intentions turned deadly on a subway ride after watching a football game with a friend.
I was sitting in their room. Mother-in-law, making cracking jokes.
Yeah, usually.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
He didn't make it home.
Detectives say around 8:30 p.m. on a number 3 train in Crown Heights, Henderson tried to intervene when he saw 2 other passengers arguing about playing music too loudly. One of the passengers pulled out a gun and fired multiple shots, hitting the 45-year-old in the back and shoulder. That gunman took off.
It's very unfair. I just want to see this man get caught because it can happen again.
As the family grieves, so do the students here at Avenues the World School in Chelsea, where Henderson was a crossing guard, a job he loved.
He remembered my name and he remembered my brother's name, even though he graduated 2 years ago.
Always smiling, encouraging, and keeping students safe.
Is underway right now for a suspect accused of randomly stabbing at least 5 people in a matter of days.
All right, Fox 5's Ashley Rodriguez joins us live from 134th Avenue and Guy Brewer Boulevard in Queens, where 2 people were stabbed earlier today. And Ashley, police just gave us an update on their investigation.
Yeah, they just held a presser and they told us there's actually 5 stabbings in Queens, that they're all connecting to the same suspect, and they're looking into a 6th stabbing in Brooklyn, possibly by the same guy. Now, as you mentioned, I'm at 134th. This is where police have been camped out all day long, trying to get this suspect off the streets. All the stabbings happening in this general vicinity, putting residents on edge. Take a look. 3 NYPD officers wait for each bus that arrives at 134th and Guy Brewer Boulevard in the Springfield Garden section of Queens. They get on and look at each passenger's face. They ask the driver if he's seen this man. He's the suspect police are tying to 4 stabbings over the span of 9 days.
I'm now praying that God find a way to find this guy. Because it's hard for us, especially women, walking at nights.
Police believe the suspect's stabbing spree started the evening of January 8th. He was allegedly standing on 157th and 137th when he pulled out a blade and stabbed a 51-year-old man in the back. They said he reappeared on Tuesday, January 16th, choosing another victim at random. This time, a 34-year-old woman walking around midnight at 158th and 134th, stabbing her on the right side of her torso. Then Wednesday morning, a double stabbing around 7:30 at 134th and Guy Brewer Boulevard. Police say he stabbed a 74-year-old man and a 41-year-old man before taking off and disappearing again. Thankfully, all of his victims will survive.
But it's usually a good neighborhood.
Police camped out and closed an entire block while they tried to track the serial stabber down. With police tape all around, stores closed their cash registers and locked their doors. There'd be no business today.
It's very difficult around here, but it's very dangerous, especially for us walking at night.
Residents tried to imagine what the suspect was thinking or who he was targeting. The stabbings happened early in the evening, late at night, and early in the morning. The victims are young and old, male and female, and the feeling is his rash of random violence is yet another manifestation of the mental health crisis.
In the murder of a beloved crossing guard at a
Stands becoming the latest targets of robbers here in the city.
4 men now wanted in connection with at least 9 different incidents that happened over a span of less than 2 weeks.
Fox 5's Lisa Evers talked to a worker about the measures that he's taking to stay safe.
The owner of this newsstand at 54th Street and Broadway shouted no as a Manhattan robbery crew pulled him out of his stand. The NYPD says it's one of 9 violent newsstand and concession stand robberies in the last 2 weeks by the same 4-man crew. Cash is still king at the newsstands. In this case, that meant thousands of dollars.
That day it was more than 10,000 because we carry lottery here. So heavy cash we always carry here.
Police released these photos of the 4 suspects they believe are responsible for the 9 robberies, 2 downtown, 5 on Broadway, and 2 on the east side. Safety worries have forced some to shorten their business hours.
I am a little bit right now scared because that thing happened here. That's why I'm a little bit scared. Before we close 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, but right now we close 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We finish.
The suspects wait outside the door of the newsstand like this so that when the owner comes out, that's when they ambush him. For decades, newsstands have been a beloved staple of New York culture. But as newspaper sales declined, their number dwindled from an estimated 1,300 in 1950 to just over 300 in 2022. This worker says the police are giving them extra support at closing time.
The police, so they give some protection right now. Every night they stand here.
Police say in one case the suspect pulled a knife, but in most cases they used brute force. The victims ranged in age from 23 to 70 and included 2 women. Police are asking anyone with information to...
Horrible story out of Brooklyn. Did you see this one? A young boy has died after being burned by a furnace in his apartment in Midwood. Police say the 11-month-old, just 11 months old, his mother was tending to his sibling in another room just after 6 in the morning when he was burned by that furnace, which may have been leaking at that home on 14th Street. The young boy taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. A break in the case of a shooting of a beloved pastor in Newark. Police arrested this woman, Deirdre Moses of Las Vegas. The 28-year-old used to live in Bloomfield, New Jersey. Detectives now accuse her of shooting and critically injuring Newark pastor Timothy Huff last August. A surveillance camera captured a woman firing a gun. One of the bullets hit the pastor while he was sitting in his home. The shooting is believed to be related to the vandalism of a car belonging to the pastor's son.